Welcome and thank you for being here with us today for Whole Grains and Fiber Session 2. Today we will be talking about what is a whole grain and also about the benefits of whole grain and fiber. So today we will be starting with what is a whole grain. So I have a poster here that shows you more about what a whole grain is. So you will see that I have a whole grain here, and it shows you here what the different components of it is. So we do have, usually when we have whole grains, we will wonder like, oh, why is it that, what's the difference? What does it matter, whole grain or enriched or refined? And it matters a lot. And the reason why it matters a lot is because when you have a whole grain, you actually have a product that it's completely whole. It has not been stripped away from the vitamins and from the minerals. And as you can see here with our whole grain, we still have the bran, so the darker part that's all around it is the bran. And actually, I'll give you a good example. Like for example, with brown rice, the way you could see that it has like a little layer outside of it, that's pretty much the bran that you can see. And then you also have the endosperm. The endosperm is mostly the starchy part. So the endosperm, for example, I'll stick to the rice as an example. For example, with rice, when you have white rice, pretty much what you're getting is just the starchy part. Now you also have something that's called the germ. Now germ is something that contains a lot of B vitamins, and it also contains protein, minerals, and some healthy oils. So I could say that germ it's a small part of the grain. However, it is a very, very important part of it. And it is, like you can see here, it's one of the smallest parts in the grain. However, it does contain, it's jam-packed with all kinds of good stuff for us. And the bran, of course, is it's pretty much the outer layer of the grain. However, the bran is the highest part of the grain that has fiber. It's highest in fiber, and it also has some B vitamins. So it is something that to think about. You do want to consume something that's whole grain. Now, unfortunately, a lot of our grains are stripped away from these good nutrients that we need so much. And I used to ask myself, why is it that they're stripped? When something is stripped away from the bran and the germ, and all you're left with is the starch, you're left with something that's shelf stable for a lot longer. So with that being said, then you have a product that will be there for a lot longer. It won't spoil, so you have something that consumers will buy and they could use it 6 months, a year from now. Unfortunately, we shouldn't be having to wait a whole year to consume our foods. But when you're buying something that's completely whole, it does expire sooner and it will go bad sooner. But so for a lot of these companies, it is a lot more profitable to strip them down from a lot of these. And a lot of times, one thing that you will notice is that you will have a product that's already been stripped away from the fiber and the germ, and you'll see that something will say on the label, it'll say enriched. Usually when it's enriched, it's usually because it's been stripped away from the bran and the germ. However, to make up for it, they've added some vitamins to it. But it's still being stripped away from a lot of the good stuff. So pretty much that's what a whole grain is. It's something that it's a whole grain. It's when it's completely entirely it still has not been processed. Once you have just regular grain, for example, like white bread or white rice or flour tortillas, then you have something that's already been processed, and it's not a whole grain. It's been stripped away from all that. Now, there is a lot of benefits to consuming our whole grains, and like in our first session, we touched a little bit on the benefits, but today I really want to talk about the fiber. And so some of the reasons why it's really important for us to consume whole grains, not only is it because we get more fiber and more vitamins, but I like using this as an example, and it is our digestive tract. So this rope here, it pretty much represents our digestive tract. A lot of times we don't think of our digestive tract being a big deal we think, okay, it's just a little part of us. But that little part of us that we think is so little is actually really, really long. And it does actually work really, really hard to process whatever it is that we're consuming. So here I have, this rope is about 28 feet long. And this is about the average person's digestive tract. This is pretty much our intestines for the average person. Of course, everyone is different. If you got someone that's 6 feet tall, it might be a little bit longer. If you got someone that's 4 foot tall, then it might be a little bit shorter. But this is on average, this is how long our digestive tract is, 28 feet. So as you can see around this table, I pretty much wrapped it around about almost 6 times. And our body has to, every time we eat something, every time we consume something, our body, our digestive tract has to go through this 28 feet of digestive tract. Now, if we're not consuming enough fiber, enough water, enough fruits and vegetables, then unfortunately we can start having a lot of digestive issues. And so fiber, it's really, really important to get things moving. We want to make sure that everything is just flowing good. Another thing with fiber is that it does tend to help us feel full longer. And when we're eating fiber, so not only does it help with our digestive system, it helps control our appetite. And it helps us with weight control. It helps us in so many other different ways also. Another way that it helps us is it helps with diabetes. It helps with our blood pressure. A lot of people nowadays have high blood pressure, unfortunately. And fiber is something that will help prevent high blood pressure. And if it's something that you already have, it could help somewhat control the blood pressure also. And it could also help prevent a lot of other illnesses like cancers. Unfortunately, cancer is something that's been on the rise in the last few years. And it's really unfortunate, and it's something that men are at higher risk. So for that same reason, fiber is highly recommended. We recommend for everyone to have at least 25 to 38 grams of fiber. For women, it could be in the lower, in the 25. For men, it should be in the higher, in the 38. If you could get a little bit more in, that's even better. But fiber is something that is really helpful for us to prevent cancers and other illnesses. Now, a lot of times I have people tell me, well, how could I tell? I know that this box says it's whole. How could I tell if just the label says it? If just the front of the packaging says it? So the best way to tell if it's a whole grain is you want to make sure that you're always looking at the nutrition facts. So oftentimes we sometimes think, okay, how could I tell if something is whole? The package may say one thing, but it may be misleading. We just don't know. So the best way to always know if you're getting a product that's a whole grain and to know if it's something that's a good source of fiber, you always want to make sure you're looking at the nutrition facts. Always turn the box around, look at the side of the box. Sometimes it's at the bottom of the box, but always make sure that you're looking at the nutrition facts. You want to make sure that you're looking under where it says total carbohydrates, at the fiber, where it says dietary fiber. You want to make sure that you're looking at that. Then another thing you want to make sure you're looking at is at the ingredients list. You always want to make sure that your grains, that your ingredient list starts with whole grains or whole. When it starts with unbleached, enriched, refined, then usually you're not getting a product that's whole. So you always want to make sure that that first ingredient starts with the word whole. And usually the first 3 ingredients that are listed on the ingredients list, that's what your product has the most of. So you want to make sure that those first 3 ingredients are pretty much wholesome, whole grain ingredients. And we will be talking a little bit more about nutrition facts and labels at our next session. So we hope to see you at our next session. Thank you very much.